Ever felt like everyone is doing better than you? You scroll through social media, see classmates succeed, colleagues shine, friends live their best life, and suddenly you feel small. But what if I told you, we forget how special we already are? Today, on Easy English Official, we'll learn this lesson through a simple story: The Crow Who Found Happiness. Stay with me, and by the end, you'll see yourself in a whole new light. Chapter 1. The Sad Crow. The sun was soft that morning, and the forest was quiet except for one sad sound. A small black crow sat alone on a big old tree. His eyes were wet, and he looked down at the ground below. No one stopped to see why he cried. He thought about his life, and his heart felt heavy. Every day, people shouted and scared him away. They said he was ugly, and they never gave him food. He wanted to know why the world hated him for being born a crow. He looked at the sky and saw other birds flying happily. They looked bright and free, their wings shining under the sun. The crow wished he could be like them, beautiful, loved, and respected. But he felt trapped in his dark feathers and lonely heart. Sometimes he tried to sing like the other birds, but people only laughed. When he searched for food, they threw stones to make him leave. He wanted to disappear into the wind and never return. His soul was full of pain that no one could see. The more he thought, the sadder he became. His small body shook as tears began to fall. Each tear carried a dream he once had but could never reach. He whispered softly, "Why can't I be happy like others?" The wind touched his wings gently, like a hand of comfort. Yet even the wind could not heal the emptiness inside. The crow wished for one moment of kindness, one voice that said he was enough. But all he heard was silence and the sound of his heart breaking. He looked around and saw no one. The forest was full of life, but he felt invisible. Every leaf danced in joy while he sat in sorrow. The world was beautiful, but not for him, or so he thought. Then, from far away, he saw a man sitting quietly under the same tree. The man's eyes were calm and filled with peace. He was a monk, resting after his morning walk. The crow did not know that this meeting would change his life forever. As he cried again, a single tear fell and touched the monk's cheek. The monk slowly looked up, surprised to feel the drop. When he saw the crow, his face showed no fear, only gentle concern. His heart opened to the sadness he saw above him. The monk spoke softly, "Little one, why are you crying?" His voice was like cool water on a hot day. It was the first kind voice the crow had ever heard. For a moment, he forgot his pain and only listened. The crow hesitated. No one had ever asked how he felt. He looked down at the monk and said, "Wise one, I am unhappy. No one loves me. People chase me, they call me bad luck, and I have nothing to eat." His words trembled like broken wings. The monk nodded and said nothing at first. He understood that pain does not need quick answers. He looked into the crow's eyes and saw a heart full of longing. Compassion grew quietly between them, like sunlight after rain. The crow continued to speak. "Everyone hates me. I'm tired of this life. Death is better than being a crow." His voice was small, but his pain was large. The monk's heart ached for this tiny creature who wanted only love. For a moment, the monk closed his eyes and breathed deeply. He thought about the many people who felt the same as this crow, never happy with what they have. He wanted to help the birds see that happiness is not in beauty or fame. When he opened his eyes, he smiled gently. "My friend," he said, "you are sad because you compare yourself to others. You think they are happier than you, His words were calm, but they entered the crow's heart like light through darkness. The crow looked confused. But how can I not compare? Everyone looks better than me. Everyone lives better than me. His voice cracked as he spoke. He could not imagine that life could be good for someone like him. The monk said softly, "We all see beauty in others and forget to see it in ourselves. You think you are unlucky, but maybe you are free in a way they are not." The crow did not understand yet, but something inside him began to move. The forest around them was still. The air carried the sound of their quiet talk. Even the leaves seemed to listen to the conversation between wisdom and sadness. It was the first real connection the crow had felt in his whole life. The monk leaned forward slightly. "Do not be upset," he said. "If you could change into any bird, what would you want to be?" The question surprised the crow. He had dreamed of this moment many times. "Oh, wise one," said the crow, his eyes suddenly bright, "please make me a swan." Everyone loves a swan. It is white and beautiful. It is peaceful and admired. If I were a swan, I would finally be happy. The monk smiled again, with both kindness and understanding. "Very well," he said, "but first, go and ask a swan if it is truly happy. Then come back to me." The crow nodded eagerly, his heart filled with hope for the first time. He spread his dark wings and looked at the sky. The sadness was still there, but now it carried a spark of curiosity. He wanted to know if happiness really lived inside the white feathers of a swan. With one strong flap, he flew toward his new lesson. As he flew, the forest below seemed brighter than before. Maybe it was the sunlight, or maybe it was the small piece of hope now living in his chest. Either way, the crow no longer cried. He wanted to understand life before he wished to change it. Behind him, the monk watched quietly, smiling to himself. He knew the journey had only begun. Sometimes wisdom cannot be given. It must be discovered. And so, the crow's path toward true happiness started that day under a silent tree. Chapter 2. The Swan. The crow flew across the sky with hope in his heart. The air was cool and soft against his feathers. For the first time, he was not crying, but searching for answers. He wanted to find the swan and learn if beauty could truly bring happiness. After a long flight, he saw a calm pond shining under the morning sun. The water looked like a mirror made of silver. In the middle of it, a beautiful white swan floated gracefully. The sight took the crow's breath away. The swan's feathers were bright like snow on a mountain. When the wind touched them, they sparkled softly in the light. Every movement she made was smooth and slow, as if the world itself moved with her. The crow felt small and dark beside her shining form. He landed quietly near the water, afraid his shadow might ruin the scene. For a moment, he only watched. People came to the pond and smiled when they saw the swan. They threw pieces of bread, calling her lovely names. The crow whispered, "She must be the happiest bird in the world." Finally, he gathered courage and called out, "Beautiful swan, may I speak to you?" His voice trembled, but it carried truth. The swan turned her head gently, her eyes soft but distant. She nodded, allowing him to come closer. The crow stepped near the edge of the pond and said, "You are so perfect. Your feathers are white as milk. Everyone loves you. You must be happy every single day." His words came with admiration and a little envy. The swan smiled, but her smile was sad. "My friend," she said quietly, "you see beauty on the outside, but you do not see the things I miss." Her voice was calm, like the water around her. The crow looked confused. unable to imagine what she meant. "I am white," the swan continued. "Only white. The world has so many beautiful colors, but I have none. Sometimes I wish I could be bright like a parrot or rich like a peacock. I look plain and empty next to them." The crow blinked in surprise. He had never thought that beauty could feel boring. He thought white meant perfect, clean, and lovely. Now he learned that even perfection could feel lonely when it never changed. The swan looked down at her reflection in the water. "People love me," she said, "but they only love what they see. They do not know how it feels to live in the same white world every day. I smile for them, but I am not truly happy." The crow felt silent. The words touched his heart deeply. He realized that every bird carried a secret sadness. No matter how they looked, they still longed for something they did not have. "Maybe," the swan added softly, "we all think others are happier than us. We forget that they also have worries we cannot see." Her eyes met the crow's, and for a second, they understood each other perfectly. The wind blew gently across the pond, making small circles on the surface. The crow watched as sunlight played on the ripples. He began to see that happiness was not about color or attention. It was something deeper, something quiet. He asked carefully, "If you could change, who would you want to be?" The swan thought for a moment and said, "Perhaps a parrot. Parrots have many colors and sound joyful. They look alive and full of life. Maybe they are the happiest of all." The crow nodded slowly. The idea of meeting a parrot filled him with new excitement. But he also felt a soft sadness for the swan, who lived surrounded by beauty yet felt incomplete inside. Before leaving, he said kindly, "Thank you for telling me the truth. I thought you were perfect, but now I see we all carry pain." The swan smiled with gentle eyes. "Go, my friend," she said. "Learn what happiness really means. Maybe you will find it before I do." The crow spread his wings again. The white reflection of the swan stayed in his eyes as he lifted into the air. The sky above was wide and blue, and the world below shimmered like glass. He felt both heavy with thought and light with purpose. As he flew higher, he remembered the monk's words. We should learn to be happy in whatever condition we are in. They began to make more sense now. Perhaps happiness was not in the feathers, but in the heart that wore them. The forest below seemed to whisper encouragement as he passed. The trees waved softly, and the wind sang between the leaves. The crow felt that the world itself was teaching him a lesson with every beat of his wings. He looked down once more at the pond. The swan still floated quietly, beautiful yet sad. For the first time, the crow did not want to trade places. He wanted to keep flying and searching, to understand life more deeply. A small smile appeared on his beak. Even the most beautiful can feel incomplete, he thought. Maybe happiness is not about what people see. Maybe it is about what we feel inside. The thought gave him peace as he moved toward the horizon. The clouds opened gently, letting a warm light fall on his wings. He was still black, still small, still the same crow, but something inside him had changed. Hope had taken the place of envy. He whispered to himself, "There is more to learn, and I am ready." The sound disappeared into the sky, but the feeling stayed in his heart. Ahead of him, the forest waited with another story to tell. The crow felt lighter than ever before. The sadness was not gone, but it no longer ruled him. He was beginning to see beauty even in his own shadow. And with that new strength, he flew toward the next lesson of his journey. Chapter 3. The Parrot. The crow flew far beyond the white pond, feeling the wind rush past his wings. His heart was full of questions again, but this time he carried a little wisdom from the swan. He wanted to know more, to understand why happiness was so hard to find. After hours of flying, he saw a green forest glowing under the sunlight. Birds of many colors flew between the trees, singing in cheerful voices. Their songs filled the air like a melody of life and freedom. The crow smiled and followed the sound. There, on a tall branch, he saw a parrot. Its feathers shone with every color of the rainbow: green, red, blue, and yellow. The crow's eyes widened in amazement. "So many colors," he whispered. "Maybe this is what happiness looks like." He landed softly near the tree and called, "Hello, beautiful parrot. You are the most colorful bird I have ever seen. You must be the happiest in the world." His voice carried honest admiration and a spark of envy. The parrot turned around and smiled kindly. "Hello, crow," he said. "Thank you for your kind words. But tell me, why do you think I am happy?" The crow blinked in surprise. "Because you are so bright, so alive, and everyone loves your colors." The parrot shook his head gently. "Colors may shine, my friend, but they do not protect me. People love to see me, yes, but they love me so much that they try to keep me. Every time I see a human, I feel afraid." The crow tilted his head. "Afraid? But why would anyone want to hurt such a beautiful bird?" he asked softly. The parrot sighed. "They do not mean to hurt me. They think I am lovely, so they catch me, put me in cages, and feed me. But a cage, no matter how golden, is still a cage." The crow listened carefully. He could almost see the image: a bright parrot trapped behind cold metal bars, singing songs of sadness. The picture made his chest ache. "When I was young," the parrot continued, "I was caught once. I lived in a cage for many months. People laughed when I spoke human words, but they did not know I was crying inside. I missed the trees, the sky, and the wind. The forest went silent for a moment." The crow felt the weight of those words. He had been free all his life, flying wherever he wished, and never once had he thanked the sky for that gift. The parrot looked at the horizon and said softly, "Freedom is life, my friend. Without it, beauty has no meaning. What is the use of color if you cannot see the sun?" His voice trembled with emotion, like a memory that still hurt. The crow nodded slowly. "I understand," he said. "The swan wanted colors, but you would give anything to stay free. Maybe happiness changes from one bird to another." The parrot smiled sadly. "Yes, it does. We all look at others and think they are lucky. But the truth is, everyone has something they wish they could change." His words felt heavy but honest. The wind moved softly through the trees. Leaves danced in the air, glowing gold under the sunlight. The crow felt that the forest was listening too. He said gently, "I came to learn what true happiness means. But every bird I meet tells me something different." The parrot laughed lightly. "That's because happiness isn't one thing, my friend. It's a feeling that grows when we are free to be ourselves." Those words stayed in the crow's heart like a small fire. He realized that freedom was not just about flying. It was about accepting who you are and living without fear. The parrot flew from branch to branch, stretching his wings with joy. "Look at me," he said. "I may be afraid of cages, but when I'm free, I sing with my whole heart. That is what makes life beautiful." The crow smiled. "Then you are brave," he said. "You still sing, even when the world tries to silence you." The parrot looked down, touched by the words. "We all must sing, even in fear," he replied. For a while they sat together in silence, watching the sunset paint the sky in orange and red. The forest seemed peaceful, almost holy. The moment felt like a quiet truth shared between souls. Finally, the crow said, "I have learned so much from you. The swan taught me that beauty alone cannot make you happy. And now you teach me that freedom is worth more than anything." The parrot nodded. "Never forget that," he said gently. "If you ever lose your freedom, you lose your song. And when a bird cannot sing, it loses its heart." The crow took a deep breath, feeling the meaning of every word. His eyes were soft now, filled with gratitude instead of envy. "Thank you, my friend," he said. "You have opened my eyes." The parrot smiled again, this time with warmth. "Go and live, crow. Use your wings wisely. You are already free. That is your greatest gift." As the crow rose into the sky, the parrot's colorful wings flashed below him like a living rainbow. The sound of his cheerful song followed the crow for miles. The sky grew darker, but the crow's heart was lighter than ever. He whispered to himself, "Freedom is more valuable than beauty. I am free, and that is enough." For the first time, he looked at his black feathers and thought they were beautiful. They carried no color, but they carried the wind. And that, he realized, was the true meaning of happiness. He flew toward the stars, feeling proud of who he was. The world seemed larger, kinder, and full of new lessons waiting ahead. Chapter 4. The Peacock. The crow flew for many miles, his heart filled with new thoughts. He had learned from the swan and the parrot, but his mind still searched for truth. Maybe the peacock, he thought, must be the happiest bird. Everyone loves him. The morning sun painted the earth in gold as he crossed rivers and fields. In the distance, he saw tall fences, people walking, and laughter echoing. It was a zoo, full of sounds, cages, and curious eyes. He landed on a tree branch near the entrance, looking down. Children pointed excitedly at something below. "Look! A peacock!" they shouted with joy. The crow followed their gaze and froze in awe. There he was, the peacock, standing in a cage surrounded by hundreds of people. His feathers shone with 1,000 colors. Blue like the sea, green like the forest, gold like sunlight itself. He was dazzling, almost unreal. The peacock spread his tail proudly, and the air shimmered with beauty. The people clapped and took pictures, cheering loudly. The crow watched in silence, amazed yet puzzled. Why did the peacock's eyes look so sad? When the crowd left, the crow flew closer to the cage. "Dear peacock," he said softly, "you are the most beautiful creature I have ever seen. Everyone loves you. You must be the happiest bird in the world." The peacock turned slowly and looked at him. His eyes were deep and tired. "Happiness," he whispered. "My friend, I do not even remember what that feels like." The crow blinked. "But everyone admires you. They come from far away to see your beauty. You are famous." The peacock sighed. "Yes, they come to see me, but they also take away my freedom." He walked slowly inside his cage, his steps heavy and quiet. "I was born free once," he continued, "in the jungle where the air was soft and the earth smelled of rain. I could dance under the open sky, and my feathers would shine for no one but the sun." The crow listened, heart aching. The peacock spread his feathers again, but this time the colors looked dull under the metal bars. "Now," he said, "I dance only when people clap. I show my colors not for joy, but for their entertainment." The zoo was silent except for the sound of the wind passing through the iron fence. The peacock looked up at the sky, his eyes filled with longing. "I can see the sky every day," he whispered, "but I cannot touch it." The crow's wings trembled. He felt shame for ever thinking that beauty could guarantee happiness. The peacock's golden prison gleamed under the sun, a symbol of painful perfection. "They pluck my feathers sometimes," the peacock continued quietly. "They make decorations and jewelry with them. People call it art, but to me, it feels like losing a part of my soul." His voice broke slightly, but he stood tall. The crow looked down, his eyes full of tears. "I never knew beauty could hurt so much," he said. "You have everything I thought I wanted, yet you live behind bars." The peacock gave a faint smile. "That's the truth of life, my friend. Every gift has a price. I am admired by thousands, but I am not free. And freedom, once lost, is the greatest pain of all." A soft silence fell between them. The crow could hear the rustling of leaves beyond the fence. Somewhere a bird sang, a wild bird flying free. The peacock closed his eyes and listened as if dreaming of that sound. "I have learned," said the peacock gently, "that beauty can become a cage if you live for the eyes of others. The more people praise you, the more you belong to them." The crow stepped closer to the cage. "Then who is the happiest bird in the world?" he asked with trembling curiosity. The peacock looked at him, his eyes kind but sorrowful. "I have watched this zoo for years," he said slowly, "and I realize something. You, the crow, are the only bird no one tries to capture. You are free to go anywhere. You are not beautiful in their eyes, but you own the sky." The crow's heart stopped for a moment. The truth hit him like lightning. All this time, he had been wishing to be someone else, and yet he was the one truly free. Tears filled his eyes, but this time they were not from sadness. They were from awakening. "I am free," he whispered, as if saying it for the first time in his life. "I can fly wherever I want. I can live my own story." The peacock smiled faintly. "Then promise me one thing, my friend," he said. "Never trade your freedom for beauty. Never let the world decide your worth. Be proud of your wings. They are your greatest treasure." The crow nodded with deep respect. He knew he had met the peacock not by chance, but by destiny. This meeting was the final lesson he needed. He looked at the cage one last time. The bars glowed under the setting sun, and the peacock stood tall inside, glowing like a jewel, beautiful but broken. With a heavy heart, the crow spread his wings and rose into the evening sky. The sound of his flight echoed softly, like a goodbye song to the bird trapped below. High above, the wind kissed his feathers. The air tasted of freedom. For the first time, he felt the joy of being himself. No colors, no cage, no mask, just truth and flight. The zoo disappeared behind him, replaced by clouds of silver and gold. The crow whispered to the wind, "Beauty brought him pain and prison. But my black wings bring me peace." He flew until the stars came out, shining quietly above him. Each star felt like a promise that real beauty lives not in feathers, but in freedom. And as the moon rose, the crow's heart was finally at rest. He no longer wanted to be anyone else. He had found the answer he had been searching for all along. Chapter 5. The realization. The crow flew through the cool night air, his wings cutting gently through the wind. The world below was quiet, and the stars shone softly above him. For the first time, his heart was calm. The noise of envy had finally faded. He thought of all the birds he had met, the white swan who wished for color, the colorful parrot who feared the cage, and the beautiful peacock trapped in glory. Each one had something he admired, but each one was missing peace. As he flew, the moonlight touched his feathers. They looked dark as always, yet somehow they felt beautiful. "Maybe beauty isn't about what others see," he whispered. "Maybe it's about how free you feel inside." The wind carried his whisper far away, like a message to every heart still searching for happiness. He smiled softly, realizing that his journey had not been about becoming someone else. It had been about understanding himself. Soon, he saw the same old tree where his story began. Its branches reached toward the sky, and beneath it sat the wise monk who had once listened to his cries. The crow's heart filled with emotion as he landed gently beside him. The monk opened his eyes and smiled, as if he had been waiting all along. "Ah," he said kindly, "you've returned, my little friend. Did you find what you were looking for?" His voice was calm, warm, like the morning sun. The crow bowed his head in respect. "Yes, wise one," he said softly. "I met the swan, the parrot, and the peacock. Each of them taught me something precious, but in the end, I learned that I had everything I needed all along." The monk nodded slowly. "And what is that, my child?" he asked with curiosity. The crow lifted his wings proudly. "Freedom," he said. "The sky, the wind, and the life I have, that is enough." A gentle smile spread across the monk's face. "So, you finally understand," he said. "Happiness is not found by comparing, but by appreciating." His eyes shone with kindness as he looked up at the stars. The crow looked too, feeling as if the stars were smiling back. "I used to cry because I thought I was less," he said. "But now I see that every bird, every being, carries both light and shadow. No one is perfect, and that's beautiful." The monk chuckled softly. "You have grown wiser than many men I know," he said. "Tell me, what will you do now?" The crow looked toward the horizon. "I will fly," he said, "not to escape, but to live, freely and joyfully." A peaceful silence surrounded them. The forest breathed quietly, and the sound of the wind through the leaves sounded like a song of peace. The monk closed his eyes again, whispering a blessing under his breath. "Go, my friend," he said. "May your wings never grow tired, and may your heart always remember this truth. True happiness is not about being someone else, but being grateful for who you are." The crow bowed deeply, his heart filled with gratitude. "Thank you," he said softly. "Your words will stay with me forever." He spread his wings and lifted off into the sky once more. The dawn was beginning to rise. Golden light spilled across the earth, painting everything in warmth. The crow felt the sunlight on his feathers and smiled, not because he was the most beautiful, but because he finally felt alive. As he soared higher, he looked down at the world with new eyes. The rivers sparkled, the forests swayed, and the mountains glowed. Everything seemed connected, peaceful, and full of meaning. He realized that nothing in his life had changed, and yet everything had. The same black feathers, the same sky. But now, they felt like treasures instead of burdens. He remembered the peacock's words, "The only bird who's truly free here is you." They echoed in his heart like a song of truth. He whispered back into the wind, "And freedom is everything." The higher he flew, the lighter he felt. The world below grew smaller, but his heart grew larger. He no longer wanted to be anyone else. He was proud to be a crow, a bird of the open skies. As clouds formed around him, he laughed for the first time, a clear, joyful sound that echoed through the heavens. The sound was not of sadness or envy, but pure gratitude. The sun rose fully now, and its light touched the world in gold. The crow's shadow danced across the treetops. It was no longer a symbol of darkness, but of strength and freedom. He looked toward the horizon and said softly, "Every being has a different story. Mine may be simple, but it is mine, and that makes it enough." The wind carried his words far and wide, as if sharing his lesson with every soul who needed it. Even the monk below smiled, hearing the echo fade into the distance. The crow continued flying until the morning sky became bright and endless. The world opened before him, full of new adventures waiting to be lived. He no longer searched for perfection, only for moments that made his heart feel free. From that day on, whenever he saw another bird, he didn't compare. He smiled instead, remembering that happiness grows only when you stop wishing to be someone else. And so the crow flew, not as the saddest bird in the world, but as the freest. His heart was light, his spirit strong, and his soul finally at peace with who he was. Chapter 6. Back to the monk. The sun was beginning to rise as the crow flew toward the tree where his journey had started. The golden light spread across the sky, warm and gentle. The air smelled fresh, filled with the quiet promise of a new day. He felt calm, light, and full of understanding. When he reached the old tree, the monk was still there, sitting in silence. His eyes were closed, his face peaceful. The crow landed softly on a branch above him, waiting respectfully. The monk slowly opened his eyes and smiled. "Welcome back, my little friend," said the monk kindly. "You look different. Your eyes are no longer sad." The crow nodded, feeling emotion rise in his chest. "Yes, wise one," he said softly. "I finally understand." The monk's smile deepened, his eyes glowing with warmth. "Tell me," he asked gently, "what have you learned from your journey?" The crow took a deep breath, his heart steady and sure. "I have learned to be happy to be me." The monk closed his eyes for a moment, as if saying a silent prayer. When he opened them again, he said, "Then you have found life's secret, to be grateful and to stop comparing yourself to others." His voice was soft but full of truth. The crow bowed his head deeply. "I used to cry because I thought I had nothing," he said. "But now I see that I have everything I need. The sky, the wind, and the freedom to live, they are more precious than beauty." The monk nodded. "Yes," he said. "Many people forget to see the gifts already around them. They keep looking at others and lose the joy of their own lives." The crow listened, every word filling his heart with peace. For a moment, both of them sat quietly. The morning breeze moved gently through the branches. The sound of birds singing in the distance made the forest feel alive. The world itself seemed to breathe in harmony. The crow looked at the monk with eyes full of gratitude. "I met the swan, the parrot, and the peacock," he said softly. "Each one taught me a lesson. They all had something I wanted, but none of them were free." The monk smiled knowingly. "And now you see," he said, "that freedom is not only the right to fly, but the power to love yourself as you are. That is the true beauty of life." The crow's feathers ruffled gently in the wind. "I used to think my black color made me less," he said. "Now I think it makes me strong. I am the color of the sky at night, quiet, endless, and full of stars." The monk laughed softly. "You speak wisely," he said. "You no longer need my advice, because you have learned to listen to your own heart." His tone was proud and loving, like that of a teacher watching a student grow. The crow felt tears in his eyes, but they were warm and peaceful. "Thank you, wise one," he said. "If you had not guided me, I would still be lost in sadness." The monk shook his head gently. "No, my child. You found your way because you searched for truth." A soft silence filled the space again. The forest glowed under the golden light of morning. The crow looked up, seeing the vast sky open above them. The same sky that had once made him cry, now made him smile. The monk closed his eyes again and said quietly, "The world does not need you to be someone else. It only needs you to be the best version of yourself." His words flowed like music, calm and pure. The crow repeated softly, "Be the best version of myself." He smiled as he said it, as if sealing the promise in his heart. He knew he would never forget this moment. The monk picked up a leaf from the ground and held it up to the light. "See this leaf?" he said. "It is small, simple, and not as colorful as a flower. But without it, the tree cannot breathe. Every being has a purpose, no matter how small." The crow looked at the leaf and nodded. "Then I too have a purpose," he said. "Even if I am not the most beautiful, I am part of something great." His voice was steady and bright with hope. The monk smiled again. "Yes," he said, "gratitude turns what we have into enough. Remember this always." The crow looked at the horizon, where the sun had now fully risen, spreading light across the sky. "I will remember," said the crow softly. "I will fly not to find happiness, but to share it." The monk placed his hands together in prayer. "Then your wings will never be heavy again." The wind blew softly through the trees, carrying the monk's blessing with it. The crow spread his wings once more, feeling the strength of peace within him. He looked back one last time and smiled. The monk watched him take flight, his eyes shining with pride. The dark wings rose higher and higher until they blended with the bright sky, black against gold like balance itself. As the crow disappeared into the clouds, his voice echoed in the wind. "I'm happy to be me." The words were simple, but they carried the power of truth. The monk closed his eyes and whispered, "Now he understands." He smiled as the sound of wings faded away, leaving only the quiet peace of the morning. And so, the lesson was complete. A lesson not just for one crow, but for anyone who has ever felt small. Happiness is not found by wishing for someone else's life, but by being grateful for your own. If you keep comparing yourself to others, you'll never be happy. But if you love what you have, you already win. Take a moment today and comment below what you're thankful for. Remember, life is about appreciating your own journey. This is Easy English Official. Learn English. Learn life. Be happy.